intel that I get from people that I kiki with, that I speak to, a lot of the research I did, and I've been in this world for a long time. I'm not a young, I'm not a young chick. I'm seasoned. So I've been in this world for a while.
Right.
What I noticed with the Insectilian type of queens, like Amber Rose, which I call out to be one, and also Kim Kardashian, they have hypersexualized pheromonic qualities that put men under spell. When they do this, they make sure they attach to males that will be something, or politically active enough to attach to, or they'll place these Insectilian queens with entertainers that they feel they want to control. What's her name's husband?
Kim Kardashian.
What's his name? The rapper, the one that's Kim Kardashian's married to. Kanye West. But if you notice, they had attached him to an Insectilian first with Amber Rose. She was the first one.
Right.
It didn't work so well. She wasn't strong enough. They set her up with another Insectilian queen, which is Kim Kardashian. Now, Kim Kardashian comes from an old line of Insectilians, and they're all witches as well. Husbands are under their spell. These women this is what they do. That's one of their qualities as a species. They're able to enchant men and keep them under the spell. Now, Africans talk about this. You have African tribes who speak about these queens. Sometimes they're reptilian, but sometimes they're Insectilian. They talk about these women that men would just walk by them and would be enchanted by them and could not leave them alone. This is a fact. This is a quality of certain females that they have this, where they keep men under their spell. And it's not a spell. They have this pheromonic. It's a chemical type of ability that they are. Once a male smells this or gets into their peripheral, they're able to get him under mind control, and they will change his physiology based on the proximity and more sexual activity they have with these queens. The more under their spell that they are, because they're picking up her pheromones internally. And I know I go. So anyway, Trump's wife. I called it, like, this is before he ran. I said, she reminds me of an Insectilian queen. They're very ambiguous in look. They look multi-race. They don't look like black, white, or anything. They look like a mixture. All the Insectilian queens I've noticed they look real ambiguous. You couldn't tell their race if you wanted to. They almost look like every race perfectly matched in one. And I think that Trump's wife is an Insectilian queen that was set up to set him up. And that's why he has good ties with Clinton. I think the Russians have been known to send Insectilian queens over here to get the congressmen enchanted so they can get information, to get intel. I think they set him up for him before, and that's why he won.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
Like a lot of the unconscious people. He got a lot of Republicans in the House now. Yeah, he's a Republican. They Republicans. I said they're gonna tear that man ass up.
They will. I
said they can't wait till they get over to him. That's why Obama has to fly up to the White House tomorrow.
Yeah, he didn't even look that happy that he won. He was a little nervous. I was watching his. I mean, he looked happy, but this is a man with a lot of reverence. I could feel his concern. I could feel it. Like he knows.
He looked like he was surprised that he won.
He was.
He was shocked. Almost shocked.
Yes.
Well, you in trouble, boy.
He wasn't supposed to. Yeah, it's not a game. Look how gray Obama got in a matter of 8 years.
Exactly.
He was stressed out. The only thing that Trump doesn't have to worry about, because he has hair plugs, so we won't see his gray, but we'll see him be affected.
See more wrinkles on his face. I know that.
You will. He'll be stressed out. But as far as I'm concerned, I think there's a tie-in to a couple things going on politically and with the shifts of the planet and with the arrival of many of our galactic ancestors. I think it's all tied into one. I think that's why I say this was not a loss. It was a win, in that an old regime, an old sector that has always ruled over the United States since it's been created as a corporation is gone. It's the first time that's ever happened. That's a win. That's a win. Now, would we have liked to see a different candidate?
That's
Yes, we can't get
what
everything.
Alex Jones was talking about, how that was a win. However, if Donald steps out of line, he said we'll be bashing on here too. That was interesting that you said that.
Yeah.
But allegedly, you know that Donald Trump is doing court after the election day, which is allegedly because of the FBI continuing investigation of child rape and racketeering charges. Same thing with Hillary. Yeah, that's what is claimed.
Okay.
You know, that's what is claimed. That's a raw story, which, you know, you can get that at rawstory.com. You know, the old girl that allegedly he raped. But these are all, you know, stories, you know, in which that should have, you know, took him down. You know, if that was the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. You know? I mean, like we're going to wait and observe, because again, this man hasn't made. We got to see if he makes it to inauguration, because, like I said, people were trying to pop him off. Every time they come on the stage, and that's only when he was running. You've got a lot of very angry, hostile people, you know, that are deep in the matrix and matrix mindset, and they've taken this as like do or die kind of thing. And the fact of the matter that they closed up the border to Canada, and if those are Muslim people trying to leave, if they were worried about terrorism, he should be concerned about it coming at him now. Because if, you know, you're going to say all these horrendous things of what you're going to do to people who are, you know, I know many of Muslims that are here. They've been here for years. That it doesn't matter. They live out the American dream like everybody else. I know more hostile Puerto Ricans than I know hostile Muslims. So, you know, just the fact that he's detailed and put these people under scrutiny and fear, it's going to be his backlash. It might be to his end.
Yep. Like I said, you know, if you notice how when Obama won the election the first time,
you are now in the host queue.
Bush was so glad to leave that office.
He was.
He was really happy.
Yes, he's a drinker too. Bush wanted to go back to more beers without being looked at like a drunk. He wanted to enjoy his life and not be under the scrutiny of consistently always being spied on, looked at, can't do anything. You can't have any privacy. I mean, it's not a position, taking presidency is not a position for the very weary and the very modest and very meek.
Exactly.
It's not.
Because he's not used to that. He's his life as he know it now it's gone.
He can't get massages and have sex with little girls anymore in privacy. Everything he does is going to be looked at, scrutinized, and put under a magnifying glass. Exactly. He has to be on schedule. The president has a schedule from 7 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock when he goes to sleep daily. He's not used to that. Yeah. He has boardrooms. When he doesn't want to go to work, he sends his cronies out to work his boardrooms. That's what he's always done.
Right. And plus, this is why people say that the election was rigged, due to the fact that this is 11/9 as compared to 9/11. The reverse.
Yeah.
And you know, and of course, you know, this 11/9 symbolizes the fact of him coming into play and being announced as the winner 2 o'clock in the morning, which was on 11/9. So,
wow.
This right here shows that, you know, him getting elected as the president-elect on the 11/9, you know, the reverse of 9/11 symbolizes a ritual.
The reversal. The inversion.
Right,
yeah.
The reversion. Hopefully he'll go in the reverse in the 9/11 with the fear tactics, you know, and, you know, it lead towards somewhat more peace. You know, that is what is being speculated or stated anyway by Alex Jones. I doubt it. You know, however, that's what is being speculated.
Well, he's also the 45th president, which is a 9. We're going into 999, which 9 ether beings are coming back. It can be positive for him. He's the typical white male. White supremacy is leaving. So I can't imagine him being successful in his term. Just the 9 alone is going to place him, because he's the opposite. Remember, 666 is the European. Even though it's the molecular structure of carbon, it is the inversion of 999. When we existed on this planet, especially when we flourished as people of color, we were under the 9 ether, type of vibration, and we're going back to 999. And it's interesting that he took a 9, as president.
Yeah.
Be for his benefit. It's probably going to end up hurting.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah.
He's coming into a crumbling empire. Because this empire can be exposed.
Well, you've got children walking out of high schools now, beautiful brown children. You've got a world that's just breaking apart consistently. We are at the end of their cycle. Their cycle is done. We're going back to 9 ether being vibration. Nothing that is not in that sitting well in that vibration can last or survive.
And there are anti-Trump.
And we got the second and third Trump.
And there are anti-Trump riots going on right now in the city.
Oh, where? Peace, goddess.
Peace. How you doing? Yeah, Philly, and then also New York.
Miss you.
Peace, Sister Kadera.
Peace, y'all. Y'all said where? In Philly and also in New York.
From coast to coast.
Mm-hmm.
My father-in-law just gave me an update on what's taking place. So yeah, they're riding. Go ahead, Queen. Tell them what's going on.
Yeah, they are riding. They're basically chanting together. Things like pussy grabs back. Pussy grabs back, and then they're saying things like Black Lives Matter, trans lives matter. They just going in, y'all.
Oh, wow.
It's all complexion, just everybody is rioting.
Yo, that's gonna be catchy too. It's gonna catch. It's not, like I said, it's a 9. He's not gonna fare well. His life is going to this might be the beginning. Well, this might be the catalyst for what they said was the revolution of the melanated person. Because for us to get back to ourselves, we have to discard and disrobe of this matrix formula. And this might be what needed to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
True indeed.
Oh boy.
It's gonna be interesting. Well, I'm excited to observe the entertainment part of it, but I do hope that our we have to be mindful that for the last couple of years now they've been preparing themselves with weaponry for this and FEMA camp, and there's a reason why they did that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, to use them. And so anybody out there protesting in that manner would be a pawn in order to be utilized within the particular concentration camps or decay centers or whatever term that they want to use.
Well, if our people know better, we know that we are everlasting beings, and if we go, we need to be bowdy. I mean, we literally have to go ball to the wall. We can't chant and we can't protest anymore, because that's just consistently doing the same thing we always did. If we want something different, we're gonna have to bring it to the fullest level. Without fear of death, because remember, as carbon beings, we recycle. Our souls are everlasting. So it is what it is, and the ancestors will support. They will only support us when it's the same answer that the Christians say. God only does for those who do for themselves. If they see you as a punk and you're punking out and you're not, they want the best for us, but they want us to want more for ourselves and fight for our own stuff.
Right.
We can't sit idly keeping our hands up in the air expecting that's going to happen. Dudes are getting shot with their hands in the air. That's not working.
The number one thing that can hurt them the most, the biggest thing that can hurt them the most, is 90% of us get nationalized.
Oh, that would be nice.
At least 90%.
We would have to all be remember,
That's what I'm saying.
Many of us
That's what I'm saying. I know what you're saying too.
And on top of that,
I mean, at this
90% of us getting our own businesses and being inspired to do the, the sacred work, such as breathing techniques and, just like the goddess was saying, eating right. We're also not putting these chemicals in our hair so our antennas can, and our spirits can lead us properly. So I feel like we're ready, but sometimes you don't know until you have to go through the situation, so we just can't fear. I was just garbing the whole world with gold light, garbing ourselves with gold light. Everything is going to work out. It always does. Like you said, we recycle, so.
Yeah. Discomfort is the biggest catalyst for change. It's the motivation to change. We don't change when we're apathetic. We don't change when we're comfortable. We only change when we're uncomfortable. Right. You put someone in an uncomfortable position, they're not going to sit there too long. They're going to strike out. They'll either totally give up or they'll go for gold. You know what I mean? So we have to be uncomfortable. And this is actually probably a good way. Mm-hmm. Maybe this fear, the motivation of maybe this Clinton, for most Clinton was hope for them still. Maybe the loss of that hope is going to bring people to the point where they're like, you know what? If I can't live well, if I can't have security for myself and my family, I'm a grab it. I'm a take it. And if I don't live, then I just don't. But I'm gonna make sure I try my hardest to get it that way. Because you don't get anything from begging. You take your freedom. Freedom is not something you ask for. You just take it.
Right. Right.
And then you have like
and
people
I'm not saying
stating
go
that,
all out war, but I'm just saying. Oh no, go ahead, Queen.
I'm sorry, we were trying to say it at the same time, but I was noticing that you have this goddess and she had natural hair and she was saying we were slaves because we chose to be. That goes back to what you were saying. You have to take freedom. Freedom of give me liberty or give me death. We've always heard that saying.
Yeah. We've always been free. Remember, they've been perpetuating those thoughts. They've been projecting things upon us, and we've accepted it. We were always free. Our notion of not being free is something we've taken on from them. That's their projection onto us. We have freedom. Listen, I always tell people, because someone was talking to me, I'm a foreigner. My family comes from foreign people. People are saying, oh my God, I hate this country and so on. You really don't. If you really hate it and you're that fearful, get the hell out. You know what I mean? It's that simple. When you're ready, you will do what's necessary to get to the next point. You're not ready. When people really want something, they do it. I see young men do anything to get a new pair of sneakers, fresh and fly. They will go hook and crook to get it. We need to have that motivation for bigger, grander things that are more long term. That's what we have to do. And many brown people are uncomfortable. Are we uncomfortable enough to take the steps to the new level and not participate with any of these people at all and just say, listen, we're not effing with y'all, and if you come at us, we're going to come with our lives, and you're going to lose a whole lot more of your people. And remember, white people don't like losing lives. They don't get to lose that as much as we see more lost lives in our communities than they see in theirs. They don't like to lose lives. They don't.
That makes sense.
Personally.
That makes sense because the FBI stood down to when the whole town, nobody died, and then everybody was acquitted. So that makes sense. And then also too, I remember the conversation that was going on after Gavin Long supposedly shot up Dallas, Texas. No, Louisiana. The whole energy on the TV, it was like coming together and love, which they're trying to utilize that same vibration now, coming together and love. So
they only want to come together if it's advantageous for them, but they don't want to come together if it's advantageous for us. I mean, you can't have it both ways. You can't only want to do it when it's, beneficial to you and your people, but then you're okay. I talk to, I live in a world where I talk to Becky's all the time. You can't be cool. If you can't be my homegirl, if you're okay with my babies dying incessantly, and that doesn't make you bat an eye. You're still eating your Frosted Flakes in the morning, and that doesn't bother you. You can be my homegirl if my life and my children's life affects you, and if they're degraded, if they're harmed in any way, that makes you feel like crap, and that makes you want to fight for me. That's the only way I'm rocking with anybody who's not looking like me. And I have homegirls like that, but there's not many.
What's that?
We have to get to that point. And I'm cool. Listen, I'm cool knowing that me and my ancestors, I'll do what's necessary for my little people to extend their lives, to live well, and even if I have to be a martyr to do it, I'm cool with that. But I'm gonna do it in a way that I make sure that if I go that route, I'm gonna win, and I'm gonna make sure anybody around me has that same mindset.
Right. If you notice, most of the Europeans that have been to space, they can't deal with space like a melanated person can. We had a few melanated astronauts that went to space, but when they came back, they had a more shorter recovery than the European astronauts. Have you ever noticed that?
I my answer is I don't think they ever went to space. I personally know that you need melanin to go there. The brothers might have gone. They might have simulated the act, and they may have thought they left because they've done that. They have holographic technology to make people think that they've gone somewhere where they haven't. I personally don't think that they've ever left the stratosphere. I don't think they can. I personally know if you go into that gamma radiation, you have to have a lot of melanin to protect your organs, or will melt you down. And if you go to any radiation station that is like Chernobyl or over in Fukushima, those people are highly, they're dying, their organs are melting, but they were sending native type or darker type of people over there who had more tolerance for the radiation. That's a fact.
Okay. Because
I don't think Europeans have
like they age real fast. They age like I don't know. They age when they like you said, when they supposed to call themselves going into space, whatever, and they come back, they age. I mean, man, like almost like a couple of years older, maybe more.
That makes sense though, because they're going closer and closer to the ozone layer. But actually, like the guy that said, they did not go anywhere. They just went like 100,000 feet into the atmosphere. They don't and actually they even tried putting melanin at the tip of the spacecraft so they could go. Y'all remember the Challenger blew up, and I believe that was in '85, and then that was the last time it was televised.
They can't even deal with that.
No, I know that there are beings leaving here in jump rooms because they've spoken about that. There's plenty of intel, super soldiers, people who've talked about leaving here in what we consider to be Stargates, which they do have natural Stargates on the planet. There's places, pinnacle places, especially in Yemen, in Israel. We have them here in the States. There are places where people go and they can leave and go to other places, but that's the only place the European is leaving through. He cannot leave this planet through via ship. That's why when they talk about contactees and abductees, if you ever talk to, and I've talked to now thousands of brown abductees, maybe 1,500. I'll say about 1,500 brown contactees and abductees. What you'll notice the difference between the two when they talk about their having alien interaction. Many of the brown people will talk about how they feel like they're going up in the air. They don't put anything protective around them. But what the white people will say is that they're beamed up or they put in something. There's a little bit of a difference in how the contact is happening. And I only surmise that because of that data that have taken so far, just quantifying those likenesses, that brown people don't need to be protective when they go up in the stratosphere, but white people do. They can't go up the same.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They can't take the sun this
far. And
it shows, you know.
Yeah. And also when the brown people are being taken on ships, they're not being probed. They're not getting as much of the different types of, when the European people are having contact or abductee experiences, they're getting violated. They're getting probes, needles stuck in them, sometimes anal probes, things put in their stomach. Brown people who are having contact are usually having more pleasant contact, almost like it's their family, like the people know them, they're more gentle with them, the beings. There's less of that egregious type of behavior. Makes me think that when we're taken up, we're going to those who exceeded us personally with their genomes. The Europeans are something else. And they're...
like the late Raleigh Martin. Used to talk to him back in the days, and he had pleasant experience.
Yes, wasn't he on wasn't he on what's his name show?
He used to be on Howard Stern show.
Yes, I love him. Yes, he had a good experience. He had good experiences, and that's right. What you'll hear. Majority of people, even highly religious people, who don't have the verbiage to say that they're having contact. When you talk to them, it's interesting because they're with beings, but they'll equate it to like Jesus or angels or something like that. But if you compare the two, like someone who's saying they're having ET contact and someone who's saying they've been touched by angels or taken by angels, it's literally the same type of activity. It's literally the same, almost directly the same thing happening to both of them, but just one has a different way of describing it. So Christians are being taken too. They just don't have the words for it. Yeah.
Right.
Indeed. We're going to go to the phone line. We have a question. Area code 843. Area code 843. You're on the air. Please. Area code 843.
Yes, I'm saluting you, brothers and sisters, and I'm saying greetings, and I'm on mute. Very good.
Peace.
Greetings. I wanted to speak on something that you was tapping on earlier, but I'm just going to go here. There's a brother that's down here. Well, I'll start here. There's some elders that was hoping that Trump win because they acknowledged and realized, just like what the sister was saying, that the only time we will wake up and do something is when our backs are against the wall. Mm-hmm. And that is going to force us to come together like we should, because it don't matter what box you in as far as religions and things like that. Just like Malcolm and Martin, right before they took Martin out, he realized that Malcolm was right, that we should come together. It's not about, religion or those kind of beliefs. And this brother down here was telling me about it. Well, actually, he was talking to another brother that studies African spirituality. And he said that he's having challenges and he's kind of tired of dealing with it. And the brother just said, you keep going, sooner or later, you're going to wake up in the middle of the night and there's going to be 3 or 4 brothers 15 feet tall with afros. And then you're behind his home. He said, because it happened to him. So, she's on it. Y'all are definitely on it, and I appreciate this conversation because that's really what we need to be talking about, because, like she said, that sister that they found in that craft, she was tall. It's all over YouTube. She had locks in her hair. It looks like some of that old Dogon burial rituals. She had the things in her eyes and her lips.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was fine too, like Erica.
She was, but she also, the apparatus that they use to run their ships, they use their third eye. They use their mind power, which we were capable of utilizing before. Many of us use it now. That's how we communicate with our brothers and sisters from abroad. We used to talk to them through our telepathy. And she utilizes that, which you'll notice that when people talk about beings running the ships, they run it with their mind. The ship is actually symbiotic to their bodies, and the ship is actually created with conception that this being will run it. I don't know if you saw Prometheus. Prometheus kind of had that being who ran the ship with their own mind. So the ship is part of the body too. It's almost like part of as some of the biological qualities of the being. So that apparatus that she had on her actually helps her to focus when she's running her ship. That's why her third eye had that little bit. She has a little bit of an indentation in her third eye, and that's why they make such a big deal with us utilizing it. Yeah.
Exactly, and they're messing with the food and all of those things, striving to keep people shut down.
Yeah.
But just like the yogis and things say, everything comes with the breath. Your breath and your intention. Which is one of the main things that I say to people. We don't acknowledge, well, most of us unconsciously don't acknowledge that we make choices every day. So if we strive to make more positive and more loving choices, things will automatically change. You know, because I think that is the key. You know, going back to that Hey Love music, it was always about love, you know?
Yeah. Remember the music? Now even the music, it's changed the toning. I've had to put an app on my phone so that any music comes in, it goes through 435 and above, because all the music, the toning is low. It lowers. Remember, our bodies are mostly water too. So remember, just like when you talk to water, the Japanese scientist, wonderful, he wrote a book on this, how you can change the frequency by, you know, saying loving words to your water, changes the molecular structure to something beautiful, and the geometric shapes are beautiful. And then when you say terrible things, it turns into these jaded figures. But it's the same thing with listening to this low vibrational music. It changes the composition of your molecular structure in your body. So anytime you listen to
Dr. Masaru Emoto.
Yes.
Hidden principles of water. Hidden life of water.
Beautiful, beautiful. And he actually changed the whole game, because we can conceptualize that now. But you listen to all the music. It is so. I mean, literally some of the music, because I don't listen to it as often. I'm old school, so I still listen to my old school music. Yes, I do. But I'll listen to some of the music. Somebody will be playing it. It'll go straight to my lower chakra. It'll go straight to my root. Yeah, and it affects you sexually, and then you wonder why people are mating with entities that are not. That's why babies are coming out a little more, because we're mating with entities based on the fact that we're being stimulated in our sexual, our lower chakra, our primal chakra, and that affects. So people are mating with beings they normally wouldn't mate with, based on the fact that they're being invoked through their chakra, their lower chakras, and it's perpetually making us make lower decisions based on primal, you know, like fight, flight,
lower emotions.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And if I may interject, that's another reason I tell you, if you spend time with these young people, like I have a grandson, he's 5 now. I call him a 98-year-old man, because he's so wise. And he's somewhat perverted towards women that he really likes. But if he don't, he's been like that since he was a year old. If he don't care for a woman or her vibration and things like that, he will turn his head. But if he likes to pull a hair, and he was doing that at a year old. You know, and I think that's another reason why they're labeling children MDDR and all of those things. But even those children who say do have Down syndrome or whatever, if you spend time with them, you know how wise they are. So
they're beautiful. Those are the old souls.
Yes. These children that are coming back now, they are powerful, and they should be our teachers. You know, I love that scene in the Matrix. I love that scene in the Matrix when that girl told Neo, "You don't bend the spoon, you bend your mind," or however she said it.
Yes, absolutely, and it's true. But the children also, they are our ancestors, and also they're coming in, like many of us are still from analog, and some of us have upgraded to digital. The children are coming in digital, unprepared for the new energies, and they're equipped to offset some of the attacks that the environment's going to do on them. And what we see is those children have protective qualities, and those special autistic children, they're really quite spry. They're just different. They're not what we were used to seeing, because they're new beings coming in for the right situation at the right time. We're just labeling them something else.
That's peace.
But all will be well. I see a beautiful future for us. I really do. I just think everything has to fall apart in order to rebuild. That's all.
Well, things are that way. You know, you got to break things down to make them new. That's right. Clear that soil and, you know, plant new seeds. Ashe.
We got another question.
Thanks, Doc.
All right, appreciate you. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you too, God.
All right, we got about 8 more minutes. Any closing statements? Oh, hold on. We got one more call.
Area code 630.
We got area code 630. Area code 630. You're on the line for the 8 last minutes.
Peace, God. This is Master Musa El-Bey.
Peace, how are you?
I'm good. I was just calling in. I'm trying to see what's that app she was speaking on that'll change the tone of any music that you're playing through the phone.
432 megahertz. You can get on the app like on your iPhone or your Galaxy, whatever phone you have. It's 432.
Right.
It says 432 megahertz. It'll help, like any music that comes through your phone, it'll just change the vibration and raise it, so that even if it's low vibrational, it'll just raise it.
432 is the musical notes of natural music. That's the hertz frequency of natural music. 440 is what they have us under now, which is too high, too fast. So it's not natural. It's out of sync.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, 432 hertz is definitely the frequency that you want to be on.
Yeah.
The Dr. York meditation, that's at 432 too, right?
I believe it is. Yeah, he was dealing with that.
Yeah. That's all. Yeah, another thing, AIT Washington, I forgot to greet everybody on it.
It's all right.
That's all I was calling in. I'm just checking in on you.
Glad you did. That was a
you
great
gonna
question.
send me that information I was asking you for, guys.
Well, that's a private matter,
Because you got to remind me, I'm so busy and everywhere.
You remember we were waiting on you to send your birth certificate information at the bottom.
Probably hit you on Facebook, let you know what information it was.
Okay. Say it again. Got it? Say it again.
I was just saying that's a good idea.
Okay.
All right, peace, guys.
I got you. All right. I know what you're talking about, Brother Musa. I got you.
Okay.
We just came back from Dallas, so I got you.
Okay.
All right.
Peace.
Right.
Appreciate you. Area code 404. Area code 404. You're on the line.
Peace.
Peace. Area code 404.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I had the music. I apologize. I'm inside the house.
Right, that's what I thought. All right.
Peace to the whole metaphysical family. I just got a couple questions I want to ask. Now this might be off the subject line. It's one book I'm looking for. It's The Depth of Life by the Yogi book. And y'all, I think the Hindu, the Indians. That's something that's like very important to me right now. But beyond that, what I want to talk about, I want to talk about the island of melanated people that don't let no other, I guess, race of people on their island. And they supposed to be like a blue-black tone. And I wanted to know what's the blue-black natural, I guess, molecular skin level that they have. What do the blue and black represent?
All right.
Was it?
I don't know if you got a chance to hear what he said, Goddess.
Oh,
okay. I can help again. I can readdress it. Oh, if you heard me, no problem.
All right. He was asking about the blue-black. There's an island in which that has been talked about, in which that there's beings, people who's there that's blue-black as far as their coloration or pigmentation, melanin. What is the significance of being that particular hue?
Oh, well, that's many of us, the Galactic family, before they come to this planet, they have a blue or green tinge. That's the color we come from. The beings that come from outer in the galaxy, they usually have melanated, but they usually have a blue or green tinge. What happens is that when they come to our atmosphere, based on the way that the different the way we're oxidized with certain iron, it changes our skin to brown or black. So those who are holding that color, and they're isolated, I would think that they might be more inner earth beings. Their island might have an inner earth entry, and that's why they're able to hold that blue tinge still. It's very difficult for us to hold that blue tinge anymore with our atmosphere being so changed. We have a lot more carbon in our atmosphere because of the carbon emissions. And also we have a lot more iron in our atmosphere than some of the other planets have, which changes their color after a while to like a darker brown or to like a black itself. So I think they're beings that are probably more connected to Sirius B, because they do have that color, that bluish tinge. And also I think that they may be from inner Earth. They might be beings that have an inner Earth. That's why they're probably isolating themselves, so that nobody finds that area or can incept on that entry point. Because the inner Earth beings tend to hold that color still. They have the most magnificent bluish tinge to them with the black color underneath it. So I'm assuming, I don't know which island they're talking about, but I'm just assuming based on that, it's because they still have access to a place where they're not as exposed to the elements like most people are. That changes their color.
I believe he's talking about over in India, Minda people who are very, who look just like us, look African.
Their God is blue. Yeah, their God is blue. Right. That's the inner Earth beings. Any of the inner Earth beings, the one that has the multi-arms that they worship, that's just because there's beings that are still living in the inner Earth. And remember, most of the inner Earth beings don't live on the surface of the planet, but they do occasionally come up and they do breed with us, depending on where you're located. In India, especially the most south of India, that's probably where that isolated island is. And they still have, India has some of the most magnificent places where, they still have beings that are from here that do a lot of the things we used to do when we were in our ancient, biological state. And holding the color of the ancestors is one of them.
Hey, am I still in queue?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. How about Antarctica? I heard that there's a pyramid there. Somebody's talking.
Okay, go ahead, guys.
Right, in Antarctica, you heard there's a pyramid there?
Yeah,
right.
There's a pyramid there. It's supposed to be one of the biggest on the planet. And I seen a small part of a documentary on TV, and they were talking about that's one of the places that Hitler was sending his metaphysicians to.
Yeah.
Right.
The government has lost most of the points. Yeah, most of the points, no one can go there. They have treaties and signed, a couple of nations have signed a free space zone where only their highest ranking officials can go there. Everybody else is banned from going there. And yeah, the Nazis have an inner Earth point where they have militarized that area and no one can go in and out. And when you see it on Google Earth, you can actually see a opening there on that side where probably that pyramid is located. Remember, the inner Earth beings were, the Nazis were in contact with beings that were from the inner Earth. So when they did their exodus, some of them went over to that arena and entered inside of the Earth. Others went into Central America and South America. The Nazis.
Awesome.
Plus,
Yeah,
they also found areas of plush grassland areas there within the Antarctica, in which that is not frozen over with snow. And those are the areas in which that they're blocking off, and some state, based on the flat Earth theory, that is the edge of no return. What they say. Wow. I'm not a proponent of the flat Earth theory per se, but because I do believe that the Earth is round, but it's more oblong, like an egg, sideways and flattened at the poles. But they do say that that the Antarctica was closed off based on the fact that is the point of no return, that particular area. But we know that there was an airman that flew. What's his name? Admiral? Oh man, what's his name? Can't think of his name right now, but he flew over the Antarctica and seen the hollow Earth, what became known as the hollow Earth theory. He's seen those areas. And these are the areas on which that some say are actually being closed off too, which, as the guy has said, leads down into the center of the Earth, or leads down into particular worlds, in the worlds, in the planet, in which that, such as there's Shangri-La or Shambhala, as they call it, Agatha, and different other inner cities in which that are there. So, this is what is also being said is being closed off. Keep people from going there and doing an investigation. Hell, they doing that in the Grand Canyon. There's 18 temples in the Grand Canyon of the ancient Egyptians and others, in which that, the Temple of Ra, the Temple of Set, and so forth and so on, and it off, to keep us out. And that's the Smithsonian. So there's a lot of information that is being hidden.
All has to be revealed, though. They had a time frame where they could keep that, but the fact that you're having this format and this platform and alerting people is a testament that it's the age of information. So no matter what they've hidden, we're finding out that they've done it. Even with the Olmec heads that they were finding in parts of I think it was Virginia, they found they were covering them with concrete. Every time they would find one, they would try to cover and hide it. But people would, other people would talk about it, like truckers would pass by and they see it and they tell other people, and then it would come out. So they can hide as much as they want. This information is coming out. So it is what it is. But as far as inner earth, those inner earth beings, they're guardians watching a lot of these doorways. And their vibration is like a sun on the inside of the earth as well, almost like what we have on the outside, that energizes and allows for, plants to grow at super height. Giants live inside the earth. We have a lot of beings living on the inside of the earth, maybe even more to a heightened degree than what we have on the surface. But they're highly developed and spiritually, they supersede us cognitively. So that's why they don't want us on the inner earth. Because we start too much ish.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at the reason why they were tearing up that island. Remember, 5 years ago, the military was so-called practicing shooting missiles. What was that? Vieques in Puerto Rico, that island?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because remember, Puerto Rico was one of the main places that they talk about as far as a tourist attraction, where they have a castle from a giant. The chair's like 15 feet tall or something crazy. All the furniture is, supersized.
I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna go see that. Yeah, well, Puerto Rico has massive amount of UFO sightings daily, and it makes sense. And I heard my intel from my homegirl who just came from Puerto Rico is that they have a top of the mountain. I think it's in Piñano. I forgot the name. Piñano, and on top of the mountain, the military has it totally military are guarding it on top of the mountain. Why are they doing that? I asked if she could get a little closer. She said they wouldn't even let them go up the road to get there. So there's a reason for that.
Yeah, there's a brother I know that drives trucks. I forgot where he said he went, but he said he was so high up in the mountains that the sky and all the vegetation on the mountain was purple, going back to that color again.
Wow. Oh,
and he said that it was a lot of lightning, but the lightning wasn't coming down towards the earth. It was going up into the sky.
Right.
Ooh.
Right. Lightning do come from the earth. Mm-hmm. So that is factual. We also gonna bring on some more callers here. We got area code 336.
Yes, thanks, brother. Put me in this. I don't cut up. Put me in, brother Ali. Blessings.
Thank you. Peace.
Thank you, bro. Peace.
Peace.
Right, area code 336. You're on the line. Peace.
How's everyone? Everybody moving good?
Yeah, God, peace.
Brother L.E., what's going on? What's going on, Blackwater?
What's up, bro?
Tips and tricks.
I got the last end of the call, so I'm not sure about everything you're speaking on tonight. But I did. And peace to the brother who was speaking on the Giants. I had a dream last night. I just wanted to bring to the table. Right, it sort of like correlates to what what everybody was speaking on. Like I said, I'm not sure I'm telling in some of the information I was talking about. But check the dream out. Dreams answered, right?
Right.
So right now we're talking on the strange. You're talking from current events to the strange, so you can fit right in where you want to.
Okay, well, Dr. Strange movie. So you already know. All right, so
right. Well, and speaking of Strange, right, we'll be going into that movie soon too.
Yeah, that got some metaphysical activity through it.
I
through
saw
the whole
movie.
thing.
Good, yeah. Really
yeah, I fell asleep watching it like nice. It got a lot of information.
It's everything, when she knocked him out of his astral body, I was like, this movie is like they throwing gems in there, honey. And it was a female, remember? Remember the female.
Where she hit him at?
She hit it right in the solar plexus, right?
Yeah, the solar plexus in the heart. Yeah, the third was
boom, knocked him out.
Yeah.
He was like, whoa. He was like, what the hell did you do to me?
Wow.
That was key. Yeah.
Well, that's the area in order to produce the astral travel is the solar plex area. So that was right on point.
On the
that movie needs to be, like, notes need to be taken. I say when you go see that movie, you got to take notes. It's deep. That movie's on point. Whoever let that movie out knew exactly who it would stimulate, because not everybody's gonna get it, but we're gonna get it. You'll get it, yeah.
And who's the first entity that he was introduced to in the fifth, when he went to the area of, I think it was India, maybe.
Yeah, he was in India. No, he was in he was in Nepal. Was it Nepal?
Yeah, Kathmandu. He was in the mountains. It was a brother.
Kathmandu.
He took that hood off of a brother up under there.
Wow.
But,
yeah, there was brothers. See, that's always telling you. They tell you who we are. That's right.
But okay, let me go ahead and I'm gonna tell you about the dream though, because it was similar to what happened in the dream is, you wake up in the sleep state or whatever, in the subconscious. So I wake up, I'm like, okay, where am I at? I'm in a school, a big school, you know what I'm saying? And I'm walking with whoever it is that's transmitting this information, walking through the hallway, a building reference. That's why it took me a minute I had to total recall all of it, get the calculations together in my mind. So a building represents expansion. If I'm not mistaken, like a big school too represents expansion. So that planetary energy is like Jupiter, right? Jupiter, and that relates to also Quebec or Tahuti, but that's the messenger or whatnot. So Mercury is the messenger deity, but that's information coming towards the Earth. So then, walking through the hall, we go to a locker, and I put something in a locker. So the locker is put information in the locker, whatever, the physical body or something like that, holding information. Then we take off that walking again though. And somebody or something is like trying to get at me, like fight. But somebody coming, they told me this. Someone walked up to me and tapped me on my shoulder, like, I heard you guys stole off on me. And I'm like, what? No, nobody stole off on me. Nobody hit me. And then it was in the dream, it was a Caucasian person that they said that stole off on me, but I never seen any Caucasians or Europeans, Albions in that general sense in the dream. So, but when they had mentioned it, that's what I saw in my mind, or in the subconscious state. I saw that an individual trying to steal off on me as an Albion. So we continued to walk down the hall, and then all of a sudden, somebody tapped me on my shoulder again, and I looked, and it was like a 9-foot tall person, it was an entity that was like 9 feet tall. He was like, he wanted to fight, but he didn't want to fight. So my statement was, you guys are young. Why are we so young-minded and we always want to go into a situation fighting? That's the as far as my mentality, that's what I could conceive out of what I was thinking. I know I wasn't verbally saying anything, but that's what I was thinking. And then the door opened, and he walked out of the building. But when he walked out, he went from 8 feet, 9 feet or whatever, and he kept growing. And he grew to like 15, 20 feet tall. And I looked up at him, and he started smiling and laughing. And he just looked down at me and put his hand on my shoulder. And he just tapped me on my shoulder and he was like, "You right." And then guess what color he had on? purple.
Purple's a royal color. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so everything the brother was just talking about was like, it's sort of like relating to a dream that was something I was dreaming about last night. Not really me.
What?
Like,
can I ask you a question though? Why do you think it's a dream?
It wasn't a dream. That's why I said not like a dream, like to talk about that it was me in the dream, but me going through the astral and then hearing it tonight. First to the self, then the source. So I'm like, so we are connecting properly throughout this whole spectrum of reality. He spoke a word that was presented to me in a vision last night by those 15
people. I would say that was your spiritual body expanding, Brother Elohim.
Exactly. Yeah,
who symbolizes, the violet, which is the crown chakra, and the expansion of one's consciousness, was just simply in the form of the giant, in which that kept growing. And you coming out, out of the, coming out from what you was in, symbolize coming out the box so that you can continue growing. So, your consciousness said, look, let me show you what I am, and, and what you are and can be. Hence the reason why your consciousness touched you upon your shoulder and said, you're right. Is because, what you are doing is the correct things in order to expand your consciousness. So continue doing so.
Good, thanks. Yes, I see that. I appreciate that too. So, like in the dreams, when we do interact with other individuals, those duality and alternate part of ourselves. It's us looking at the person going through that transmission or getting that information, but is in actuality another part of ourselves that's not being fully expressed. But then, like you're saying, tapping me on the shoulder, whether or not that's my, like, the higher spirit or the higher intelligence saying, you're right. Keep it moving. Keep doing what we're doing, and expand.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can dig it. Yeah, it was just when he said that, I forgot about the dream. So I sat there and I was like, okay, let me recall what was in the dream. Because I remember tall, because he at first was 8-9 feet tall, like almost normal, but I was looking up at him like, your head started to hit the ceiling in the school. So he walked outside, and then when you just said lightning comes forth from the earth, and then the resonation goes up to the sky, that's when I was like, hold up, he got bigger when we went outside. And the sunlight started hitting him.
Yeah. And remember, you was coming from out of a school. School symbolizes collection of knowledge, in which that can be transformed into wisdom. Consciousness. So, all of that correlates.
So that wisdom.
And also, the Hebrew word for school is shul, which is grave. So you coming out the grave, coming out the school, could be symbolic to a resurrection, of consciousness once again.
That's peace. Thank you. I just wanted to, relay that, like, to let the brother and all y'all know. Yeah, that's what I saw in that dream, and then to express it from him expressing it in that manner. He was saying it's something like, and you got 10, 15 feet tall Watusis coming through, and then initiating niggas. But that's was peace. Now that's where it resonated again. But yeah, good thanks. I appreciate that breakdown because now it makes a lot more sense. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad I was able to help out.
Y'all keep building. But, we keep going. I'm at my mom's house, though. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to keep them up, but they peace.
Okay. Well, we'll see you Friday then.
Bright and early. Or
right.
Bright. You got it.
All right. If y'all don't know who that is, that's Brother Blackwater. He comes to you every Tuesday here on First Water Radio, and he have his show in which that he do. And if y'all haven't heard him, y'all better come for Centrics on Tuesdays, which is his name of his show. And he will give you some of the most beneficial, spiritual, esoteric, occult information possible, and it's practical too. So come on out and check out Brother El-Bey, Blackwater, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes he come on at 7, depends. So you got to check his station and see when he do his thing. But Brother L, in closing, you got any statements before we go?
Brother L. There you go.
Class.
Okay, there we go. We can hear you now.
Okay, so I enjoyed it. Everything tonight. Enjoyed the sister sharing that knowledge with us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Always enjoy the guy that's coming on.
Yes, he put a lot, shine a lot of light on me on dealing with the election year also. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, if people understood the popularity vote is allegedly the people's votes, but then the people's vote would have to go before electoral college vote, right, in which that has to be represented, and then they cast their vote for whomever they want to cast their vote for. So essentially, the people's vote doesn't really count. No. In order to even become part of the electoral vote, you have to take a 3-month class. All right? Wow. So, us doing it the way that we've been doing it, as so-called, i.e. black people, is not going to work. As the guy that said earlier, that's a sign of insanity to keep doing the same damn thing over and over again. We're the only people here that has to have voting privileges every 25 years. Otherwise, you will not be able to vote. We know the first to pass it was Lyndon Baines Johnson in 1965 with the Voting Act, and it's an act. Voting bill, voting act, whichever way is an act or a bill. Keep those two terms in mind. Because a bill is something you got to pay for. All right? And an act is something in which that you get paid for. So be careful when you want to take that. And then, of course, 25 years later, we have, quote unquote, Ronald Reagan in 1983, 84. He signs the Voting Act. And then 25 years later, we have George Bush Jr., in 2007, 2006, 2007 to sign the voting right. So every 25 years, you have to have a president to sign to give you the privilege in order to vote. If you was a citizen, you wouldn't need a president to give you a privilege. It would be a right. A right is different than a privilege, y'all. So we want to make sure that y'all understand that, because we have to start doing things differently. All right, Goddess, we got to give you the floor now so you can get yours in. Please hit on with it.
I'm grateful that you have had me on. Thank you for having me on your platform once again. It's always a pleasure. You have such wonderful listeners who are just so spry and so aware and awake. It's such a pleasant thing for me to have interaction with you and your queen as well. I just want to, I want to let everyone know, I think it's a time for you to really take your power back and to accept that you are your own master of your own life. And so long as you sit in the driver's seat, to do will always be in the direction that you are pushing yourself or propelling yourself towards. And that being said, keep rising, keep elevating your consciousness by making sure your nutrition is only of the best. Remember, your food is fuel, and interacting with those like-minded or above that will help to stimulate you and also to release codons that help to allow for memories, your ancestral memories, to be released so that you can better navigate in the matrix. And that being said, I just, I send well wishes to everyone, and healing energies to the melanated family and all the family, but mostly to the melanated, family that has been segregated and really has dealt with a lot of hardship over the last couple 100 years. That being said, if anyone, you know who I am, Fleurbrun. I'm on YouTube, and you can always, if you want to engage in any of my ET conversation, my thing is talking about melanated ETs. I wanted to bring that to the forefront of being part of the UFO community. I felt like we were being whitewashed, and a lot of our information about our ancestors are galactic ancestors,
right?
Which are the main ancestors.
Whitewash and black bull.
Yes, black bull. Yes, they were making it very difficult for Fleurbrun to come out, and now I've definitely made a way so that this conversation that we can have can be had with much more respect and with much more integrity, and our information is flowing. So check me out, Fleurbrun, and also I do Aquarius Rising 9th Gate on Thursdays at 9. You can check us out. We all talk to mostly melanated contactees who call on the show, and we talk about our experiences and contact and metaphysical things, about succubus, incubus. We get it in, and you can always come on my face. I think my Facebook is full. I'm not sure, but if I'm, Anunnaki Return is my Facebook page, and Fleurbrun 999 is on Twitter. So you can always interact with me, but. Keep rising, keep doing your thing. I'm always going to be in it to win it with my family, Galactic and Earthling. So that being said, I support the journey, and I support also enjoying the journey too. We're not just here to to learn. We're here to enjoy while we're learning. So I am a fan of getting everything in, but also enjoying the sights while we're moving along.
Absolutely.
Indeed. So please make sure you check out the goddess on her Thursday night show. That is tomorrow. And what you going to be speaking on tomorrow, goddess?
We're going to go in on time, the Mandela effect, and how I think they might switched. They hijacked our timeline again with this election.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Y'all
got to hear that tomorrow now.
Yeah,
all right.
We're gonna go in on that. Yeah.
Indeed.
I know.
All right. In closing, we got to thank the goddess once again, Sister Fleurbrun, for coming forth and giving us excellent information. Well put together information in which that hopefully y'all can take back to your communities and disseminate amongst the people, because we need it. As well as also Brother Elohim, Blackwater, coming on, which I'm going to play his song, which is called Trapped of Freedom. As well as also my co-host, Brother Fahim L, coming on and doing his thing as usual, being that fantastic co-host and getting them questions in. And once again, we thank y'all for listening to First World Radio. We are out. Peace.
Yeah. ATD. Above the dome. Trap of freedom. Family. Tradition. Heritage. The missing links. Spiritual miracles. The awakening. The walking space. Time to eat. Food for thought. The metamagician. Holy rainwater flows off my altar, channel through the seasons, elevate the reason. What's the purpose of life of the living? Death to the conscious. At the end of days, clash of the titans. Zombies running rampant. Christ in the pamphlet, looking for Alim, ribbon at the church, plugging in the air. Rock of the ages, son of the undead, rapping for more rage. I bleed red ink on the page. Words and truth, no signature. Cause the blur from invisible literature, sitting at the doctor debate with Otis.
All right, so I just wanted to get y'all that live feed, and we'll see y'all. We'll also have a Sanford lecture on Saturday, so we'll be live streaming that as well, and we'll talk with y'all later. Peace.